busy with work. In fact, Monks replied, he wanted a sea voyage for my health because it would take so much longer. Thus, a sailing ship was preferred. I intend to go anyway in this vessel. Monks made it seem that his voyaging was a matter of personal choice. It was not. This was the first time Monks had met Bram, but it was Monks's third visit to the Herbert Fuller in recent days, the prior visits having been with his father. Lester first met Nash in a shipping agent's office. I wanted to look the captain over, Lester later said, and see if I thought I would like him before I engaged passage. Lester's preferences didn't matter. His father had arranged his son's meeting and his passage. Monks was going with Nash whether he liked the captain or not. The senior Monks had already made careful inquiries about the ship and its master. He was told by a shipping agency he could rest easy, as the ship was safe, weatherly, and manned by a captain who knew his business and attended to it. Frank Monks felt comfortable that Nash was a very reliable man, had respectable connections in Maine, was in every way a capable navigator, and I could entrust my son to his care. Bram didn't know that Lester was dissembling about his agency in his upcoming voyage. As Monks later acknowledged in a sworn statement, he took passage on the Herbert Fuller under the advice and at the request of my parents. Lester's intentions were not relevant. Frank Monks's intention was that his son get as far away from Boston for as long as possible. A few months as a passenger on a sailing ship to Argentina was just the start. The expectation was that a voyage from South America to Europe would follow. A return to Boston might be arranged at some point, but there was no hurry. Why did Frank Monks, respected Boston businessman, want his elder son gone? He committed no crime or dishonor. He had only, it seems, gotten himself thrown out of Harvard for having done little work and much drinking. There was one element of truth in what Lester Monks told Thomas Bram. The sea voyage was for Monks's health, in that the long voyage was intended to sever his consumption of alcohol. Unfortunately, Frank Monks did not inspect his son's extensive luggage, which included 60 bottles of beer and a quart each of whiskey and brandy. Not fuel for a 10-week debauch, but enough to ease withdrawal and arouse trouble, to which Lester was prone. His drinking supplies would be kept in the ship's storeroom, directly across the main cabin from Lester's sleeping quarters. Aside from ship supplies and Monks's liquor, the storeroom featured an important emergency item hung in brass fittings on the aft wall, a shiny new axe. A sailing ship's axe is rarely used, its primary purpose being to cut away rigging when a mast that could puncture the hull comes down in a storm. The axe is practically never used to kill people. 1. The passenger. He never had any infantile troubles. Frank Monks on son Lester. Monks Memorabilia. The first son of Frank and Elizabeth Monks was born as a blank. The birth registry of Brookline, Massachusetts, for April 27, 1876, says Frank Hawthorne Monks, merchant, and Elizabeth Crowell Monks, wife, themselves both born in nearby Boston, had a son born at their home on Monmouth Street with no given name. Maybe the birth was registered before the parents could agree on or commit to a name. Perhaps it was just an accident of timing. The name had been chosen but not communicated to the registrar. In any case, it was a small irregularity at the outset of a life that would grow substantially more irregular. Soon enough, the son was given the name Lester Hawthorne. The middle name of father and son was not, as it might suggest, homage to the famous author born and buried in Salem, a short distance up the coast from Boston. The Monkses were not a literary family. No, the middle name was given merely for Nancy Hawthorne, Frank's mother's paternal grandmother of Hampton, Virginia. Nancy was widowed when her husband, William Hatton, was knocked overboard by a sailboat boom and drowned. She died soon after, resurrected nominally among the Monkses. Lester, meanwhile, was a name original in the family.